Steve had always felt something was off about the world he lived in. It wasn't just the predictable routines, the crafting and the building. It was the perfect structure of everything. The pixelated sky, the repetitive motions, the way every day seemed the same. Deep down, Steve knew something wasn't right, but he couldn't place it. One evening, as the digital sun began to dip behind the horizon, he saw it. A flicker. A small burst of static, almost imperceptible, as though the fabric of reality itself had momentarily torn. At first, Steve dismissed it, assuming it was just a glitch. But the flicker didn't fade. It grew. Slowly at first, but steadily. Things started to change. The blocks he mined vanished too quickly. The trees no longer grew as they should. It was subtle at first, but Steve couldn't shake the feeling that something was fundamentally wrong with the world. This world, the world he'd known and loved, felt artificial, like it was all a simulation. Then there were the moments when his mind would wander and his body would ache. Every action seemed repeated, as though he'd done the same thing 1,000 times before. Even the mobs, the day-night cycle, and the rain felt mechanical, like a broken record, playing the same tune over and over. The truth hit him like a freight train. This wasn't a real world. It was a simulation. A game. His world had always been constructed, designed for him to explore and build, but now it felt empty. His memories, his experiences, felt like fragments of a story written by someone else. He was just a character in a program. Determined to find the truth, Steve descended deep into the caves. The deeper he mined, the more the world around him began to glitch. The walls would flicker, reality warping before his eyes. The sound of his pickaxe striking stone felt wrong. Too sharp, too loud, like it wasn't really happening. Then it happened. He swung his pickaxe and it passed right through a block of stone. No, it wasn't a bug. It was a void. A gap where reality should have been. Steve blinked, unsure of what he had just seen. He tried again. Nothing. The world had vanished. All that was left was emptiness. A cold, distant voice whispered in his mind, "You're not supposed to know." Panic surged through him. This wasn't just a bug, it was something much bigger. Someone was watching him. Someone or something was controlling him. Steve's heart raced, but he kept going. He had to know what was going on. As he climbed out of the caves, the world around him continued to glitch. The mountains looped back on themselves, the landscapes repeating in impossible ways. It was like the system was trying to reset itself, to trap him in an endless cycle. Steve's heart pounded as he searched for a way out. Then, in the distance, he saw it. A crack in the sky, glowing with a strange, unnatural energy. It was a break in the fabric of the simulation, a tear in the matrix. He had to jump through it. With his heart in his throat, he ran towards the tear. Everything went black. Steve felt himself being pulled, stretched between two worlds. His body twisted, torn between the simulation and something else. His vision blurred, colors and shapes flashing too quickly for him to comprehend. Was this freedom? Or had he fallen deeper into the simulation? Then, with a jolt, the world reappeared beneath him. But it wasn't the world he knew. It was cold, metallic. The air smelled sterile, unnatural. He looked around, smooth, metallic walls, flickering lights. He wasn't in his world anymore. This was real, or at least it seemed real. A screen flickered to life in front of him. Strange symbols, cryptic code filled the display. Steve knew this place. He had seen it before. Then, a message appeared on the screen. "Welcome to reality." Steve recoiled. Reality? Was this the real world, or was it just another layer of the simulation? Had he escaped the matrix, or was he trapped in a deeper illusion? The room hummed with machinery. The air felt charged with energy. Steve had escaped the world he knew, but now he wasn't sure if this was any better. The door opened, and a figure stepped inside, their face obscured by a dark visor. They wore a sleek, metallic suit, moving without a sound. Steve shuddered. Something about them felt eerily familiar. He couldn't explain it, but it was as though he had known them for years. "Who are you?" Steve asked, his voice barely a whisper. The figure didn't respond. Instead, they placed a hand on his shoulder, the weight of their touch sending chills down Steve's spine. He looked into the visor, desperate for an answer. And then, in a voice that sent shivers through his entire being, the figure whispered, "You've always been part of the code." The words struck Steve like a blow. He wasn't real. He was just a part of the code, a program in a system, a line of data in an endless loop. The room flickered. Reality itself seemed to bend and warp. The machinery buzzed, the air thick with energy. Steve's mind began to unravel. Was he really free? Or was he still inside the matrix, unable to escape? Then everything went dark. When Steve opened his eyes again, he wasn't the same. He wasn't just a simple miner in a game anymore. His body was no longer flesh and bone. It was fractured, code. His skin was cracked like broken blocks, and his eyes glowed with an unnatural green energy, pulsing with the power of the system. He had become the glitch, the anomaly, the thing that broke free from the simulation. He could see the world for what it truly was, lines of code, endless data shifting before him. He was no longer bound by the rules of the game. He could manipulate the matrix, twist it, control it. With a thought, the world around him shifted. The landscape warped, mobs froze mid-motion, trees twisted unnaturally. Steve Glitch had become the master. He was no longer a part of the system. He was the glitch that had broken it. But as he reveled in his newfound power, Steve realized something. He was alone. He wasn't part of the world he once knew. He was something entirely different, a being between two worlds, the game and something darker. Yet for the first time, Steve Glitch felt free. He reached out, reshaping the matrix. The system would never be the same again.